Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Claire has choices, Kyle's options are limited. The Young and the Restless spoilers document that Claire Newman, Haley Aaron, knows who she is and has choices to make. Her reclaimed life is starkly different than the one she was forced to live with her great-aunt, Jordan Howard, Colleen Zank. Kyle Abbott, Michael Mueller, long had choices. He was born with a soapy spoon in his mouth, but his early life did not go smoothly. Now, in early middle age, his reality is forcibly limited. Claire and Kyle are a likely romantic match, but for the moment they are not in sync because Victor Newman, Eric Braden, wants to create separation between his restored granddaughter and Jack Abbott's, Peter Bergman, helpful son. Options are limited. Claire has been the most flexible nanny in the recent Genoa City, Wisconsin history. She bonded with Harrison Abbott, Redding Munsell, after Jordan held them hostage. That revisit of the years Claire spent living with her maternal side relative was highly stressful, but it served to create an indelible bond between Claire and Harrison. Kyle recognized the importance of Claire in Harrison's life immediately. It's taken Summer Newman, Allison Lanier, longer to see the same. But she's come around, and the cousins have reached a meeting of the minds at Chancellor Park. Kyle's ears may have been burning when that happened. Yes, he is generally oblivious because much of life, including the interest of many women, has come easy to him. He takes all of it for granted. Summer wanted her blissful marriage to Kyle to continue, but he didn't. He behaved like an ungrateful fool and threw Summer away. Kent's Chancellor, Connor Floyd, is wise. He knows how impressive Summer is, which is why they are together. Harrison's safety is something Summer is concerned about. Her distrust of Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver, is misplaced, and Kyle can't get rid of her because of Victor's veiled control of Glissade. However, Victor is working on a plan with Kyle, telling Claire that her services as a nanny are no longer needed. That unexpected action produces reverberating fallout. Kyle senses danger like Audra, but he believes Victor can be managed, unlike his former momentary flame-turned enemy. All devoted fans collectively chuckle at Kyle's naivete. Victor will use Kyle until he no longer needs him. Along the way, Kyle may find that he needs help to deliver on the promise to attack his parents through Jabut. Daytime momentum shifts hard whenever Kyle is burned, or if he realizes that he's burned himself. Claire's probable position within Newman Media Projects as the next hurdle at that spot in the plot. Claire's life had been a whirlwind since she arrived in Genoa City. The bustling streets and towering skyscrapers were far from the tranquil vineyards of Tuscany where she'd spent the last few years, but she had adjusted quickly. With her keen business acumen and disarming charm, Claire soon found herself at the heart of the city's most powerful family, the Newmans. However, the choice that lay before her now was unlike any she had faced before. It wasn't about business or power. It was about loyalty, love, and the tangled web of relationships that defined Genoa City. Claire had never been one to let emotions cloud her judgment. She was a strategist, always 10 steps ahead, and when Victor Newman had offered her a position within Newman Enterprises, she had seen it as a golden opportunity. She hadn't anticipated getting entangled in the Abbott family drama, but fate had a funny way of weaving her into their lives. Kyle Abbott was handsome, intelligent, and had a sense of humor that could brighten the darkest of days. He was also heartbreakingly conflicted. His marriage to Summer had been rocky at best, and their separation had left him vulnerable. Claire had seen the cracks in Kyle's armor from the moment they met. He was a man trying to be strong for his son Harrison, but the weight of his responsibilities was dragging him down. Claire had admired his determination to be a good father, but she couldn't ignore the undeniable chemistry between them. The first time their hands brushed against each other's at a Newman Enterprises event, a spark had ignited, a spark that had been growing ever since. It wasn't long before late-night meetings turned into intimate dinners, and those dinners into something much deeper. Claire found herself drawn to Kyle in a way she hadn't been to anyone in years. He was different from the powerful men she had known. He wasn't ruthless or manipulative, he was real, and that terrified her. Kyle, on the other hand, was in turmoil. His options were limited, and he knew it. His son Harrison was his world, and everything he did was for that boy. Summer's betrayal had cut him deeply, and he had no intention of getting hurt again. But with Claire, it was different. She wasn't just a rebound, she was someone who understood him, who listened without judgment, and who had a heart as fierce as her mind. Yet there was always the lingering shadow of what-ifs. What if he was moving on too quickly? What if he was setting himself up for more heartache? What if this thing with Claire was just another fleeting romance? Claire knew Kyle's fears and respected them. She had her own reservations too. She was acutely aware of the Newman-Abbott rivalry and how her relationship with Kyle could be perceived. Aligning herself too closely with one family could jeopardize her standing with the other, and Claire was nothing if not pragmatic. But matters of the heart were never simple, and the more time she spent with Kyle, the harder it became to deny her feelings. Victor had noticed the growing closeness between Claire and Kyle. He was no fool. The patriarch saw the potential risks, but also the advantages. A union between Claire and Kyle could stabilize the tenuous peace between the Newmans and the Abbotts, or it could reignite old hostilities. Victor, always the chess master, watched closely, ready to make his move when the time was right. On the other side, Jack Abbott was equally observant. He had his doubts about Claire's intentions, but he also saw how happy Kyle seemed when he was with her. Jack wanted what was best for his son, but he couldn't help but worry. Claire was an enigma. A powerful, independent woman who could either bring Kyle the peace he desperately needed or pull him into a vortex of Newman drama that he might never escape from. As the days passed, the tension in the air grew thicker. The Abbott mansion, usually a sanctuary, now felt like a battlefield, with invisible lines drawn in the sand. Every conversation between Kyle and his father seemed to have a double meaning, every glance from Claire filled with unspoken words. Even Harrison in his innocence could sense the undercurrents, though he couldn't understand them. The climax came one stormy evening when Claire found herself at the Abbott estate, soaked from the rain, but determined to confront her feelings head-on. She and Kyle had been dancing around their emotions for too long, and it was time for a reckoning. As she stood in the grand foyer, her wet hair clinging to her face, Kyle appeared at the top of the staircase, his expression unreadable. "Claire," he began, his voice heavy with the weight of unspoken thoughts. She interrupted him, unable to hold back any longer. "Kyle, I can't keep pretending that this, whatever this is, doesn't mean something to me. I know you're scared and so am I, but life is too short to let fear dictate our choices." Kyle descended the stairs slowly, each step bringing him closer to her. "It's not just fear, Claire. It's responsibility. It's Harrison. It's everything." "I know," Claire whispered, her voice softening, "but don't you think we owe it to ourselves to see where this goes, to take a chance?" Kyle hesitated, his eyes searching hers for answers that weren't there. He wanted to say yes, to let go of the doubts and just be with her. But something held him back, a nagging voice reminding him of all that could go wrong. Just as he was about to speak, the front door swung open, and Summer stormed in, her eyes blazing with anger. She had heard whispers, seen the signs, and now, seeing Claire in her home, it all made sense. "So this is it then?" Summer spat, her voice dripping with venom. "You're moving on with her? After everything we've been through?" Claire stepped back, the tension in the room reaching a breaking point. This wasn't her battle, yet here she was caught in the crossfire. Kyle turned to Summer, his expression pained. "Summer, it's not what you think," he began, but Summer wasn't having any of it. "Don't lie to me, Kyle. I can see it. I can see how you look at her. You're really going to throw everything away for someone who just waltzed into our lives." The room fell silent, the weight of the moment pressing down on all three of them. Claire felt a pang of guilt, but also a fierce resolve. This was her life too, and she had every right to fight for her happiness. Finally, Kyle spoke, his voice steady. "Summer, I'm sorry, but it hasn't been right for a long time. I need to figure out what makes me happy, and right now, that's Claire." The words hung in the air, final and unchangeable. Summer's face crumpled, a mix of fury and heartbreak. Without another word, she turned on her heel and stormed out, leaving Kyle and Claire alone once more. Kyle let out a long breath, the tension slowly leaving his body. He turned to Claire, his eyes filled with uncertainty but also something else, hope. "Well," Claire said, a wry smile tugging at her lips, "that went well." Kyle chuckled softly, the sound breaking the heavy silence. "I guess we're in this together now." Claire nodded, stepping closer to him. I wouldn't want it any other way. As the storm raged outside, the two of them stood in the grand foyer, finally allowing themselves to embrace the future, whatever it might hold. For Claire, the choices were many, but for Kyle, they had just become crystal clear.